All right, so let's go ahead and log into our WordPress site. All right, so we logged in, and we're going to settings and Updraft Plus backups. Yes, sir. We're going to put in another plugin this morning. And so the first thing before we do that, before we put in another plugin, is we should do a backup. And there's what's really important about why we should do that backup is if I come out here, I'm going to go to the file system of our WordPress site. And that's what I'm in right now. That's what we're looking at on the screen. Under WP content, we have, first of all, we have plugins. That's our plugin folder. This is not stuff you're going to be tested on. This is not stuff that, this is kind of just to try to take some of the magic out of things for you on how some of these things work. In this plugins folder, you'll see we have our Updraft. And you'll see we have two more plugins that are out there. When we go and we look at our plugins, there's two other plugins out there. Each plugin gets a folder. And in that folder is all the code, everything that's needed for that plugin to work, for it to do what it does. And so what this plugin does, and what WordPress, and one of the beauties of WordPress, what it does is it couples plugins. And so in programming, there are two things that we are very attentive to, which is coupling and cohesion. You don't have to know these. Again, just sharing the information. Moving forward in the program, you'll want to know these things. But the idea around coupling and cohesion is to be able to write a piece of code, have a primary, so in this case WordPress, right? A primary platform that we're working with. And to be able to add and take away functionality quickly and easily without impacting that base code, that frame that we're running off of. And that's exactly what these plugins do. These plugins form their own folder. Anything that they need to do inside of WordPress, they form their own files, their own folders. The only attachment to WordPress is something we call hooks in programming. And what I mean by a hook is basically a line of code goes into the database and tells WordPress, by the way, this plugin is here. And it also tells it whether it's turned on or turned off. So the beautiful part about that is that that plugin is not altering our core code inside this program. Meaning, if we turn a plugin on and it starts blowing crap up, right, because it's injecting stuff in the build, while it's drawing the page, all we have to do is turn it off and we're good again. In most cases, we're safe again. Where you run a risk is your database. So your database is where the information is stored that the code uses. And sometimes plugins will alter information in a database. And so that's another place where it's really important to back up, right? Because we want to watch our database. So if I come outside of the plugins folder, another thing that Updraft Plus does is it creates its own folder under content as well. And what you'll see under there is the actual zip files. These are actual compressed files of the file system, of each folder, of the different folders, plugins, themes, core, which is your primary website, and then a database. And I just wanted to show you that's what's happening when you hit backup. That's exactly what's happening. It's making that backup and it's putting these files in here. The easy way to see these files is if you look here, we have database, plugins, themes, uploads, others. Really, really good feature of this plugin because of the fact most backups, what they do is they just take everything and jam it in one backup. And so you have to do all or nothing, right? When you do a restore, if you got to, step backwards. With this plugin, we can actually step backwards with the database, with just our plugins folder, with our themes, our uploads, and then other folders are just all the extra stuff that comes along. All right, so good. So I backed up. I I'm going to go ahead and put another plugin, and we're going to start building our pages. So where do I go to put another plugin? And what do I do? Somebody tell me. I need some interaction here. Everybody looks like they're falling over. What's that?
Plugins on the side and then add new.
Plugins, add new. Who, I believe we talked about it on Tuesday. What are the things I want to pay attention to before we go look for this plugin? What are some of the things while I'm looking for plugins that I want to pay attention to?
The rating.
What's that? The ratings? What's, yep, the active installs, the ratings. What else? Last time it was updated and are compatible with. So let's quickly, I want to make sure that we're clear, that we know we don't just look at the ratings and say, oh, it's a 5, and that makes it good. And we'll do that. Actually, let's go look for nested pages. Now, just because something has high or low ratings, it doesn't always dictate whether or not we want to use it. But it's definitely something we want to pay attention to. And in this case, 77 people rated this at 5 stars. And there's 30,000 active installs. Now, that's not quite the million that we saw, million plus we saw with Updraft. And it's not quite the 2,786 ratings that we saw with Updraft at a 5. But this tells me I'm pretty comfortable with going after this plugin because of the fact that, right, it has a 5. 77 isn't something to just dismiss, right? 77 people took the time to say, yeah, this is a great plugin. 30,000 people have it actively installed in their system now, which tells me if there was a problem with it, you would hear some kind of chatter, right? As IT people, you'll find, you'll follow certain blogs and things like that to keep on top of what's going on. And there definitely would be some chatter with 30,000 installs. One of the things I really like about it, it was updated last week, right? So way better than 10 months ago or 2 years ago. I want to see if I can find one in here where you're like, wow, they should just take that off. 12 months ago. Sometimes what happens is people start developing a plugin and they're doing a great job. And no disrespect to them because life changes, right? And they started doing it because they just wanted to make their contribution back because this is an open source platform, meaning people contribute from all over the world. Right? They try to add value to the platform, to the system for others as well as themselves. But sometimes what happens is someone will start developing a plugin and they'll have kids, right? And all of a sudden now you got kids, you don't have time to sit there 4 hours a night, 3 nights a week and work on this plugin that you started. And next thing you know it, the plugin, the last update was 12 months ago. 2 years ago. You don't want that plugin. You do not want that plugin. The other thing with plugins, and you'll see this with themes as well, but I'll put it out here and we'll look at it in themes too. If you click on the picture or the title, what it does is it gives you additional information about the plugin, why use it, languages that it supports, right? So that's another thing about WordPress. Good luck if you want to build a website, like if we take our inside out HTML and we want to support, 10 different languages. Good luck. I mean, you could do it, but you can be gray when it's done. Gives us all kinds of information, gives us installation information, frequently asked questions, questions that people, of course, ask. Change log. This is big to us. Anybody in IT, a change log is really big because basically what it does is it lists out what changes from release to release to release. So you can see where something changed in a version. And where it's really big to you is you might have, especially there's you in IT and web, same case, just different scenario. Your router might be 6 years old and only handle certain types of encryption. And this update on this plugin that you've been using for 5 years came out, and it no longer supports this type of encryption, and now supports this new type of encryption. Next thing you know, this plugin isn't working anymore for you, right? What you can do is you can back up to the last version where it was working, and if it's serving all your needs, you probably are good. And that's where changelogs become really important. And then it gives you screenshots. So you can kind of, get a look and feel for what the plugin does and lets you do. Without this plugin, if we go, you don't have to follow me, I just want to show you real quick. If we go into pages, and we add a new page, right? We have to do it one at a time. We have to go through, put the page title, things like that. And it becomes quite a cumbersome task with what do we have, 18 pages? It becomes quite a cumbersome task. When and this should start to help you appreciate plugins even more. When with this one, you'll see how we actually create them. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to install this Nested Pages plugin. It installed, and now I'm going to activate it. So you can install a plugin and you can activate and deactivate it. And that's really nice because if you install, let's say we install Nested Pages and crap just starts getting really wonky on our site, right? All we have to do is go to plugins, installed plugins, and deactivate it. And 95% of the time that'll solve the problem. So now at this point, we can go to pages and we can start adding our pages. We are gonna discuss the differences between a page and a post. WordPress uses pages and posts to present information, and we will discuss that. And right now you can see that we have one page, and that's a sample page. And if we hover over that in our visit site, if you hold down Control and click on visit site, it'll open up in a new tab. I like to do that because then I can just bounce back and forth between my pages, my back end and my front end. We call this the front end, right? The front end of the website, the part of the website that people come and browse and do. And the back end is where we actually make things happen and manage things and stuff like that. And if I come out here right now and I take a look at things, don't really see all that much of anything going on. If I go to my Hello World page, I don't see too much of anything going on anywhere. I have my sample page, but what I don't see is a bunch of pages to link to, and I don't see a menu that has pages, and those are the two things that we're going to solve for today. But before we can build a menu out here, we have to build pages, right? It's kind of hard to link to something that isn't there. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and create our pages. One of the cool parts of this plugin is that we can come up here and we can say add multiple pages. And so we can start going down the line here. We can say love who challenges you. And then what I'll start doing, just because I don't want to have to keep scrolling and stuff like that, and here I'll actually, underneath you, is where I'll start doing profile. And we really don't need the profile in settings, but we're going to do it. Settings. Love things. And I can just demonstrate. I can move that right up there under things. I could get rid of it if I wanted to. And my things are websites, books, music, movies. And I'm just going to go ahead and move them right up underneath it now. So that's things. I need people. And under people comes family, friends, others. Trust me, this plugin, if I had you create all the pages before we installed the plugin, and then I showed you the plugin, you would hate me. Because it is a pain. Like each page, you have to create one page at a time, save, wait for it. So I'm going to go ahead and put this up under love, actually. People, love people, and then it's family, friends, others. So I got things and people covered, love. So who, and under who we have I, was then, am now, will be. I'm going to go ahead and move them right there as well. Was then, am now, will be. And then we have challenges behind me. And I'm running out of screen. And it's not letting me scroll. So I call that a little bit of a quirk. And so to deal with that, all I'm doing is holding down Control and scrolling back my my zoom ratio on my screen, and it lets me back in there. So challenges behind me. Ahead of me. And I'm just going to say add. We'll go over this information as we move forward. Status, things like that. Right, baby steps. Crawl, walk, run. We'll cover a little. There, my add button didn't click. And bam, there's all my pages. So one thing I want to do right away, see this sample page? I'm going to delete it. So that's gone. Now with this nested pages, one of the nice things about nested pages is that what I can do is underneath love, I can drag people in and it is a web-based interface. It can be a little quirky at times. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And under people, I can drag family under people. And I can drag friends, hopefully, under people, but this is where it gets silly. So I might have to drag friends on top of family and then move it down, right? Because it just wouldn't take that inset. It was fighting with me, and it depends on your browsers. And that's part of that's part of what gets tricky with web design at times, is because you're dealing with so many different browsers, so many versions. I'm going to take my others, and I'm going to move it up here and see if it lets me move it in without doing it up top. And if you notice, it just wants to hop right under friends. So rather than playing the game, I'm just going to drag it up here under people, and then I can move everything around to the order that I want it in, which is family, friends, and others. Now that I'm done with that people menu, what I can do, which is nice, is I can collapse it. And the next thing I want to deal with is things. And under things, I want music. I keep trying to get greedy and go for that, when honestly, just drag it right up underneath things, each one of them underneath things, and it'll nest properly, and then just reorder them. Does that make sense to you, what I'm saying, or is that confusing to anybody? We're dealing with the quirkiness of the browser is what we're doing, right? We're just, like anything in IT, sometimes you just gotta figure it out. You know, you just gotta figure out a way to make it work. And then I'm gonna reorder them. Things, music, movies, books, websites, good. So now, actually, I have love. That whole section is done. And so now I'm going to start working on who. And I'll put I. Was then. See, I'm trying to get greedy, and it's not working. So just drag it up under I and get it nested right and deal with it. And then order them. Was then. There we go. Was then, am now, will be. That took care of the I. It took care of the who. Then I can say challenges behind me. Challenges ahead of me. And I can collapse that. You. And actually, you in settings are going to be handled by WordPress themselves, but for now, just to keep things from getting confusing and keeping things consistent, we're just creating them for representation. So at this point, we've created all of our pages in our site. And if we go out to the front end and we refresh, we go to home, we still don't see them, right? So in WordPress, everything is in pieces, right? The website is in pieces. Your menu, just like we put in the nav, we put the menu in the nav, right? And we put the header, the nav and the header, and we have a header, and then we have a section, and right, everything is in pieces, and that's the way WordPress handles it. So now that we have our pages created, what we need to do is create a menu. And the way that we create our menu is we actually go into appearance, and in appearance, this is where we can manage things like the way our site looks, the themes. This is where people spend, let me restate that. This is where people waste a lot of time, including myself. Why? Because once I show you how to change the theme, you're going to go ballistic for a while, because there's so many cool themes out there to use, right? In this case, we're not changing the theme right now, but when I click on appearance, it takes me to the default theme screen. Same principle as plugins, right? You have themes, you can activate and deactivate them, you can add new, you can delete them, so on and so forth. You can customize themes, which we'll get into at some point. You have widgets. Widgets are basically pieces of a website, smaller pieces, like maybe you want like a map on the side of your website. Anthony's going to build a website for his family business, which is pizza and sandwiches. I hope it's okay that I kid around like that. Watch me next week. I'll have this car pull up to me and be like, "Yo, come here." That would be New York City where that would happen. But no, their shop has four locations, and so he might decide to put a little map on the side of the web page that has, basically like Berks County or wherever those four locations fit in, with a marker for each location that someone can click on and see where that location is. We would do that using a widget. We would make a little widget so that we could put it out there and put it on the page. So our header and our editor, we'll touch on them later, but right now what we're most interested in is the menus. So I did click on menus. We're just taking a while to get there. What we can do here is we can build a bunch of different menus, and by the time we're done, we will have built a few different menus, because we can build a footer menu, a header menu, a side menu, right? And we might want those menus to have different things, the same thing, different orders or something like that. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to go ahead and we're going to create, this is our nested pages menu. It's called our nested pages menu. But we're going to call it our main navigation menu. There's two things that we can do here. We're not going to take the easy route right now. But if you were just trying to bang this out real quick, the thing is, remember, with everything that is simple, usually means that there are a multitude of impacts and potentially negative impacts. So what I'm starting to talk about is, how we laid out our pages and we nested them and put them the way that they are? We could just click the magic button and say automatically sync these pages. So automatically make, anytime there's a change in the pages, add it to the menu and put it in its hierarchy, right, that it is under pages. It is great, but not really what we want to do. So what we do want to do in this menu, though, is we want to call it the top menu. And then over here, we have view all. And what we want to view all, not most recent. We want to view all. And in that menu, we basically want to select all, because we want all of our pages with the exception of home. So deselect home, select all and select home, and say add to menu. And so magically over here it appears, and we have to go through real quickly. We got to do what we did with the pages. We have to come in and we have to basically, now this acts much nicer. They're using a different script to do this, so that makes it nice. But what we have to do is come in and do all of our indentations, right? Our hierarchy. And then what we want to do is save it. So that you can see this manage locations, this can be pretty robust. In this case, it's not. But manage locations, we're basically saying we only have one menu, but we want to use this top menu, which we did check the box. And we want it in the top menu. And we actually have that capability down here as well. So now, the next thing we want to do is we want to go out to our site. And our menu should appear right there. Underneath the picture. So let's talk about that for a second. All we did was create pages. So all we did was told WordPress we want a page, right? For each one of those things that we created a page, have a page, let me be able to populate it. Right now we have nothing in our pages, right? But what WordPress did is in the database, we have what's called rows. We have tables and rows, just like a spreadsheet. Think of it like a spreadsheet, right? Each tab on the bottom of the spreadsheet is a table. The file, the Excel file itself is the database. Think of it that way, right? The tabs on the bottom are the tables, and then the columns and rows, right, are the information inside the tables. So basically what we did, we told WordPress on your Pages tab in the spreadsheet, enter a line for love, enter a line for who, enter a line for challenges, right? And just put the name, love, who, blah, blah, blah. And so what happened is WordPress did exactly that, put in there, right? Put in the spreadsheet. And along with that, in the spreadsheet, we have line numbers, right? So those line numbers are IDs that we use in programming. We don't call the love page, we call number one page. Page ID equals number one. And if you look up top here, you'll see that's exactly what it did. Because now, with those pages, if you notice when we went to the menu, they were available on the left, right? And so now, all these pages that are available, we can take and we can drag out into this menu, put in this menu, and we can arrange it any way that we want. You know, we can make it more, less, whatever. You know, we have all those pages. We could have put half of those pages out. We could have put 3 of those pages out. It doesn't matter. Because what we have, each one of those pages in programming, we look at as an object, as its own entity, as its own piece of something. And in this case, it's a page. And we can use that page in many different ways, in many different places, and just keep updating that one page. Keep that information relative to that one page. The nice thing with WordPress is that it does allow us to do these different things, like, you know, make a menu. And then if we wanted to, as far as menuing goes, If we wanted to, we could go ahead and we can make a menu in the footer that looks different than that menu and only include Love Who Challenges You, things like that. We're not going to go after that today. What we're after today is pages, and then the magical. This is the part where you all get a little ballistic. Trust me. And remember, you have to use the theme that I say in our site, but you're welcome to go to your domain, install WordPress, and have at it. Do whatever you want. So I'm going to go back here, over here to admin. And I'm going to go to themes. Before I go to themes, I just spent time, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, right, building pages and building a menu. What do I want to do?
Back it up.
Back it up. Go to settings. And I'm going to back it up. And I'm going to say backup database and files. And honestly, what we just did with the menus and the themes, the menus and the pages, what we're most worried about backing up is the database. Because everything that we just did was not creating code, it was actually creating lines in the database. It was actually creating information in the database. Did I tell it to back up? I sworn I did. Gonna give it a second. I think I accidentally hit cancel. There we go. You can see it backing up now. Monica. Let's see. Not even gonna try it. Never mind. He's gonna try your last name again. I don't know why I have a hard time with your last name, man. Carmona. You get one punch in the neck for every time I get it wrong, all right? I just ask that you be delicate about it. Oops. So I did my backup, and I come in and I look at backups. And basically what it did for me, that's why. So I'm looking for backup number 3, right? In all honesty, I had to do a quick reinstall before class, and I threw in Updraft. The reason I had to do a quick reinstall is I crossed paths with another class, and it just was easier to do a quick reinstall. And if you notice, I didn't come in and change my settings, which in class, on Tuesday, we came in here and we changed our settings to 10, allow 10 backup copies. So the reason it didn't look like, to me, why I kept saying, oh, it didn't back up, is because what it does is I only had it set to 2 and I already had 2. So when I hit create that third, it took the older of the 2, deleted it, and put my newer one in there. Does that make sense? So it's first in, first out. In computers, we would call it first in, first out. Meaning, if the limit is only 2 in the room, right, and I'm the first one in the room, and Anthony came in after me, and then Nikolai Smirnov came walking in the room, and the room limit was only 2, I'm the one who would have to leave because you were coming in the room. Does that make sense? No? Yeah? No? So I know that I have a current backup because I just did it, and it replaced that other one. And I just upped my limit to 10. So now I can have up to 10 backups. All right. Appearance themes. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start installing our theme. We're in our themes, and we can see we can add a new theme by clicking here, or we could add a new theme by clicking here. These are themes that are available to us but not currently active, and this is the one that we're currently using. We could easily just turn one of these on by clicking activate, and our site would make adjustments and go, take on the look of that, and we're going to see that happen here in a minute. So let's go ahead and just click on add new theme. And there are thousands and thousands of themes for us to choose from. It's almost mind-boggling, and you can spend a lot of time just playing with themes because it is one of the coolest parts of WordPress. What we're going to do is for the project, for the program, we're going to use One Take. This One Take theme will allow us to do some pretty cool things. And one of the things you can do as you're searching for themes is you can take a look at it, and it gives you samples of how things would work on your site. You can obviously, get the information on it, how many people are using it, the reviews. And I've already taken a look at this one and made sure that it's going to work for us. So we'll go ahead and we'll click install. And now that we have it installed, it's not active on our site. But what we can do is we can click activate. And so what that did is it actually replaced this one, turned it off, and turned this one on. And now if we go out and we take a look at our site, it should look pretty cool. Nope. Why? There's one thing that you have to do with themes, especially to get that cool front page. There we go. We want to customize it. We'll go ahead and we'll hit customize. And now we see our theme. And the first thing you usually have to change in your theme is you have to go to your static front to customize. And it gives you these really cool tools to manipulate everything about the theme that's available to be changed. And when you buy a premium version, this actually becomes very full over here, and it actually acts like a robust program to customize your theme. What we're going to do is we need to set up the static front page. So we'll click on there, and we'll say we're going to use a static front page. The thing is at this point, we don't really want to use any of these pages. So what we can do is we can say add new page, and we're just going to call it home. And we'll go ahead and select add. And so now it's pointing to our home page. The only thing is that we're going to save and publish. Now we have one other problem. If we close out of here and we go out and we look at the front end of our site again, we see we still don't have that neat appearance that we were looking for. And the reason we don't have that neat appearance is because we're not using the home page template. But what we can do is we learned about in this lesson, we have our admin toolbar up top here. We are sitting on the home page, so we can just say edit home page, edit page, which takes us to the page that we're currently on and allows us to edit it. As we move along in the lessons, we're going to learn more and more about how to manipulate these pages and things that we can do with them. For now, what we're going to do is you can make custom templates to be applied against specific pages by selecting inside the page editor the template you want to use. And for us, what we want to do is we want to grab this front page template and we want to update. And so now at this point, we could click view page, we could click our link, or we could just click up here and we go out to our home page, and there we have our theme is applied. So there's only one other thing that we want to do before we wrap this lesson up, because we want our site to be functional and working so that we can continue moving forward with it, and we will manipulate all these things out here and custom fit it to ourselves. But we have no menu, and so the way that we can take care of the menu, we could go back in and go to menus, or you could just go to customize up here in this toolbar that we learned about in this lesson. So we're going to go ahead and click on customize. One of the customizations that we have access to in here is the menus. So let's go ahead and click on that. And let's go look at the menu locations. And you can see we don't have anything selected at this point. When you make a change, that change immediately will apply over here in this view area. And so you can start to see each theme acts differently. And although I did top menu, you can see it's not included here. If we go to primary menu, you'll see it's still not included on the home page. And the reason is because what the home page is looking for is the one-page menu. What we are sure to do is, by selecting all three at this point, it is the best choice as you explore a new theme, because now you can see where each one of these applies. And if we hit save and publish, and then close out of here, and now we are on our website, and we can see that we have our menu. It's working great. Navigate around, make sure that it's working, make sure we can get to the different pages. And now we're ready to start building content into our website, manipulating our theme, and doing some pretty cool things with our WordPress website. So that concludes this lesson. In this lesson, we did quite a few things. We learned about the dashboard, a little bit about the dashboard and how navigating around the dashboard and using it allows us to get information, quickly make a post. This is some of the stuff I'm covering is in the videos for the lesson that are attached to the lesson. We learned how to get help and go learn more. We learned that we have a menu, our menu over here, that we can actually collapse it and create more workspace, as well as our screen options, where we can actually choose how things are shown on the screen, in addition to if we're working on something such as a page or a post, and we go in and we're working on it and we want to have that view, that broader view. We can go into our screen options, we can manipulate things, get rid of a column, go to the 2-column layout. We can choose what we see in the form below, and we can enable, disable the editor, so that allows it to stretch as we're building things in our website. Additionally, if we close that up, if we're just working on content, we really want to focus on that. We know that we can go into no distraction mode, which basically no distraction mode says, everybody go away while I'm working inside this box, so I'm not all cluttered and have other things to pay attention to. We learned how to create the pages in this lesson and how to organize them and sort them. I'm actually just going to go ahead and move my home page on the top there. And we learned how to use a cool plugin called Nested Pages, even though we don't know that much about plugins yet. One thing we sure do know is it can make life a lot easier, and there's a lot of really cool plugins out there to work with. So after we created our pages, of course, we did some backups, and then we had to go after and make our menus. And we learned in a lesson there are various things that we can do with the menus, and we can make an infinite number of menus and use them strategically throughout our site in different places, as we'll learn as we move along in the lessons. We then installed our theme. And we learned that some of the major things to pay attention to when working with WordPress themes is, once it's installed, to really get the look that you're seeing in the pictures or the examples. One of the very first things that you have to do is go take care of that static front page and assign it a static front page. Additionally, often you have to come in and manipulate your menus and assign your menus to the locations that are provided. So that wraps up this this lesson, and in our next lesson we'll start adding some content and really going after making our page more personal.